summer, step into the Mediterranean haven of Malta. Crystal clear waters, ancient ruins, and towering cliffs. The iGaming industry is converging in Malta to take on everything from green courses, the hottest tournament tables, courts, lanes, and of course, the UNESCO city of Valletta for iGaming Next 2023. A week-long festival experience rounding up with the biggest high-end European pool party, Showers, celebrating its 10-year anniversary. Join over 4,000 senior delegates and top affiliates from all around the world alongside industry giants for an unforgettable iGaming festival week. iGaming Next 2023. Contact our sales team for sponsorship opportunities.
Hello and welcome to another edition of iGaming Next Weekly News Live. Starting today with a big thank you to Betsson for sponsoring us and queuing us in with that awesome advert and intro music. Nico joins me today. Great to have you with us, Nico. How are you?
First of all, thank you for having me. I'm great. You know, I'm so thrilled up, pumped up based on the music, which we can experience for quite a long time already. And it's good. It's good. Interesting topics we will cover today. What about yourself? How are you feeling? How are things going on in the UK?
Yeah, pretty good. Thank you. Thank you for asking. Connor can't be with us today. I'm afraid he's not feeling well. But don't fear, because we've got a special guest lined up waiting in the wings for our first topic. So that is something to look forward to. I want to say hello to everybody watching today. Please do use the chat on the right-hand side to interact with us, ask questions. Today's main discussion is going to be on the Finnish market, recent developments there. And we've got an expert for you in Antti Koivula, who will be joining us in a few minutes' time. As ever, though, Nico, you've been doing your homework this week. Busy. So what do you have for us with 10 and 5?
Yeah, so I will just start with the 10 and 5, and then we know if the people still like it, okay? So as soon as you hit the hot button and, countdown starts, I'm ready to go. Oh, no, I will just go now because I'm getting some extra seconds. So the NGA discusses a collaboration with Britain's Gambling Commission. So the MGA, Malta Gaming Authority, has reported a meeting with the British Gambling Commission, the UKGC, to discuss collaborative efforts. The two regulators discuss collaboration in the areas of responsible gambling, sports betting, integrity, and anti-money laundering. It's quite interesting that although behind the curtains, usually those people always and already spoke to each other, that it's now officially being confirmed. So fingers crossed something great will happen. Then the Deutsche Sportwettenverband says the increase in self-exclusion is a positive development. Latest figures from the self-exclusion system Oasis, which is in place in Germany, show that the number of registered bettors rose from 47,000 in 2020 to 192,600 at the beginning of May 2023, suggesting a fourfold increase in self-banned players. First of all, you need to get the numbers right. Thing is, in 2020, only sports betting was officially allowed or licensed in Germany, and then all license operators had to connect to the Oasis system. By mid of 2021, which is the second number, also the slots operators, licensed slot operators, had to connect to the system. And that's why the Deutsche Sportwettenverband view is the number of players suspension can be attributed to the increase in the overall customer base, as just mentioned, as well as the number of operators which have connected to the network, enabling their players to register with it. This network is the Oasis system. This is indicative of positive player protection developments, the association argued. So as said, it's a good thing. Then BetClick fights back against French tax investigation. BetClick has denied any wrongdoing in relation to an investigation launched by the French Tax Inspectorate, shortly DNEF, into its Malta subsidiary. So we will see how it will actually turn out. Then we have another dynamic duo joining each other. So like the Pierres and me of this world. Also, GIG co-founder Ben Clemens joins Robin Reed at Happy Hour IO. In his role, Clemens will accelerate the growth of current investments while spearheading the expansion of the portfolio with promising startups poised to shape the future of the industry based in the US. So Clemens will return to the United States with a base in San Francisco and will work with North American-based startups, investors, and partners in his new role. So welcome back to the team as well. Then 888 Stock Source and ex-GVC heavyweights acquire 6.6 shareholding voting rights. So shares in London-listed 888 Holdings jumped more than 20% in early trading after the business revealed a new major shareholder, which is called FS Gaming Investments, a consortium which includes former GVC Holdings CEO Kenny Alexander, former director Stephen Morana, and former chairman Lee Feldman. They secured 4.55 shareholding in the business. As all of you know, I spoke about 6.6. So there's a little bit missing. And shout out to the former GVC COO and Tane and current DAZN Group CEO Shay Segev, as he has transferred voting rights of 2.02 shareholding to the group, giving it a total voting rights of roughly 6.6%. Then Barstool can't lose parlays questioned by the Massachusetts gaming regulators. So the Massachusetts Gaming Commission held an adjudicatory hearing over the misleading title of the betting product, which is the can't lose parlay. So they investigated on this one, had an interview with the Penn Sports Interactive owner as well. Then Bet365 keeps up US expansion with their Iowa debut, leading to a spokesperson comment as we are from Bet365. We are incredibly excited to welcome the Hawkeye State to Bet365. From Sioux City to Marquette and everywhere in between, Iowans will now have access to our market leading sportsbook product. So welcome to the fifth state in the US, Bet365. Just 3 more to go. North Carolina sports betting bill voted through the House as the House Bill 347 has passed the House by a 69-44 on votes. And now it will be passed over to the governor, Roy Cooper, and he will sign it into law. So North Carolina is about to become reality as well. Washington Maverick Gaming sells Lakewood Casino Palace and chips for $27 million, which they bought in 2016 for $4.5 million. So it's a good investment. And last but not least, Sportradar gives us some figures on betting volumes. Mixed fortunes as Haaland and Arsenal generate most Premier League bets. So with 41% of bets to become champion, Arsenal was in the lead. Meanwhile, Manchester City striker Erling Haaland won the top goal scorer award and he received 52% of the overall bets in the top scorer category. And these are my 10 and 5.
Smashing job, Nico. Thank you very much for that. That was super high energy. Did you say you went mountain biking before you came on air this afternoon?
Exactly.
The adrenaline
Mountain biking,
was still pumping, I think.
doing my 32Ks and then, dealing with some additional stuff and all good. I'm pumped up.
There we go. Back in time to join us. Amazing. You look in great shape. So
thank you.
The other thing I wanted to say, Elizabeth, our producers, pointed out that we're having a couple of technical difficulties on LinkedIn. So please do jump over to YouTube, where obviously we're streaming live. And I think it's time to do a deep dive on our main topic today, which is Finland. And our special guest should be able to join us right now.
Hello, guys.
Seamless. Hi, Antti. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Thank you again for finding time in your day to join us. There's been an awful lot going on in Finland this week and for the rest of this year, in fact. I know we've got a couple of stories to discuss in a bit more detail in a few minutes' time. But first of all, Antti, it would be great if you could introduce yourself to our stream viewers. And then maybe just explain in general terms why the online gambling industry should kind of be sitting up and taking notice of what's happening in Finland right now.
Certainly. First of all, thank you very much for having me, and thanks for the 10-5 as well. It was really, really good stuff. So my name is Antti. I'm a lawyer working for legal gaming attorneys at law. We are specialized on iGaming sector specifically, and obviously for the Finnish market, though that's not all we do. Now, if you look at the Finnish iGaming market, there's indeed has been a lot of going during this year. There's been, well, I guess we could divide the topics on two. There's been the ongoing discussion regarding re-regulation or introducing the partial licensing system. And then there's been a few things going on the enforcement side as well. So, yeah, there's definitely been happening quite a lot. And it's been a great time to be a Finnish iGaming lawyer.
I'm sure. I said to you earlier this week, didn't I? You're a very busy man. And I think, that approach to enforcement is something we're going to talk about now, because we've seen two examples of that this week that were both related to marketing. One was versus an operator in Betsson, and the other was versus an influencer and a streamer. Which one of those topics would you like to start with, Antti?
Maybe we should start with Betsson, because that took place a bit earlier, and then proceed with the influencer case. But
definitely,
whatever way works for me.
Sure. So, just to add a bit of background to this Betsson story. In May, the Finnish National Police Board, which enforces gambling regulation in Finland, it took action against Betsson's BML Group subsidiary for advertising gambling to Finnish consumers. Gambling companies can do this via kind of, the use of celebrities in campaigns or videos or articles or affiliate marketing. So, most of the sort of conventional marketing channels, really. But because Betsson is not licensed in Finland, the police board moved to impose a prohibition order against this type of marketing activity, as well as a conditional €2.4 million fine, which I think was a record at that time. And then the developments this week. So Betsson appealed this decision to the Helsinki Administrative Court, and the court basically came back and said that the prohibition order won't apply until Betsson's appeal has been heard in full, and kind of a permanent decision has been made at the end of that. And this has created like a bit of a temporary operating environment. And I know a lot of operators are kind of keeping a close eye on this case, because it had a bit of a potential to set a precedent in the market. So, Antti, what is your read of this kind of situation? What kind of impact do you expect it to have? I know you said cases like this can take a long time to finalise, basically.
Yeah, sure. That's the Betsson's case or BML Group's case, to be precise. It's really interesting, and I'll add something before we'll dig on the recent development. But the case is not new in any standards. It's been pending since 2021, and Betsson already before that, Betsson has had dealings with the National Police Board, which is the supervisory authority in Finland. Now the NPP imposed a prohibition order and the conditional fine already on 20th of April, but the Betsson only received the letter in the beginning of May, and the sanctions were supposed to enter into force on 3rd of June, so 30 days from the date Betsson received the letter. Yeah, you mentioned the fine of 2.4 million. It's a conditional fine. It's a record one. The previous record, if I'm not mistaken, was 800,000 euros imposed for Eurosport. So Betsson's case took the fines in their own numbers. They tripled the previous record fine, and yeah. Now what happened? As you mentioned, the NPP imposed a prohibition order along with the conditional fine. And always when an operator is imposed a prohibition order, they would be automatically added to the payment blocking list as well. And that was supposed to start from 3rd of June. Now, Betsson appealed to the Helsinki Administrative Court, as you mentioned. That happened on 29th of May. And a few days later, on 2nd of June, the Helsinki Administrative Court, they gave an interim decision, basically postponing all the sanctions for the duration of the appeal. So the case is by no standards over. But what the court did, they basically wanted to, this is rather normal I guess in Finland and other jurisdictions as well. If there's a decision which is being questioned, the court may froze the sanctions for the duration of the appeal, and this is exactly what happens. Now, that being said, it was rather unusual because in other gambling related cases, the court has not they haven't granted similar motions in other gambling related cases. So yeah, that's basically where we are at now. So the case is pending at the Helsinki Administrative Court, and in normal cases, it might take anywhere from 6 to 18 months. The last gambling-related case we had was the Eurosports case, which was widely covered in the media as well, and it took a year and a half to reach the decision in that case. So we shall see how long the Betsson's case will take. Now, so basically, this interim decision sure was a partial win for Betsson, as now the sanctions haven't been imposed against them. They might still enter into force after the court process is over. But in addition to that, it's that the discussion haven't been really paying attention to the overall picture. As mentioned in the beginning of this stream, Finland is considering, or there's an ongoing legislative change going. It's rather likely that Finland will introduce a partial licensing system within the next few years. Currently, it looks like it's gonna be in place in 26, but we will get back to that later on. Now, it's been in the discussion that the system might include a cooling off period or other bad actor clause, and I know this is a swear word for many on the industry, and don't worry, it's not gonna be exactly the same as the Dutch one, and there's still lots of question marks in that regard. But when it comes to the Betsson's case, it's relevant to understand that when the licensing system will be introduced, and if and when it will include a cooling off period or other bad actor clause, it might affect. It's not really a healthy starting point to have a prohibition order imposed against you, or court verdicts finding you guilty of illegal advertisements, if that shall happen. So in that sense, Betsson is not only fighting on the PSP blocking and the conditional fine against those sanctions, but the case also concerns, the Betsson's chances to obtain a license when Finland will introduce a licensing system.
So you covered quite a lot of topics, and just if you want to reread the story behind it, first of all, congrats and shout out for covering each and everything. I was able to click all the boxes. You can always scan the QR code, which is on your top left corner, and just read the full story. But as mentioned, just re-listen to what Antti has just said, and I'm pretty sure you will cover each and everything by yourself. But if you just want to have a reread, just scan the QR code, and then you're good to go.
Thank you, Nico. You can follow along with us. But Antti, that was amazing, and I think, like you say, we're going to talk a bit more about the re-regulation model and how that might affect the current monopoly moving forward. But this issue of payments blocking is obviously a really interesting one, because it's an awful scenario for an operator. It really is a massive disadvantage to them. But what we've seen in other markets, Nico, including Germany, obviously, is that they tend to be very difficult to enforce. But from what I understand, that the government has given those powers to the National Police Board, but they might have a few issues where it comes to actually maintaining those PSP blocks or enforcing them.
That's exactly so. The NPP, the National Police Board, they are in charge of maintaining a blacklist. And if I just review the Finnish PSP blocking system, it's just briefly, it only includes deposits from mainland Finland to blacklisted gambling operators. So it doesn't include withdrawals, and it only includes blacklisted gambling operators. And in order for an operator to get blacklisted, they generally really have to make some effort. Everything starts from illegal gambling advertisements, which is noted by the NPP. The NPP will start the proceedings. It will last several months at least. And as mentioned in Betsson's case, the case already was initiated in 2021. So it's been going on for more than 2 years now. So, and during the process, the operator will be given several chances to comply and avoid any and all sanctions. So when it comes to the effectiveness of the system, if you look at the Finnish system, currently there's no one on the blacklist. Currently, the PSP blocking system, it doesn't involve anyone. So, I mean, if you mentioned that we might discuss a bit about Norway in the end. For example, if you compare to the Norway's PSP blocking system, it's much more comprehensive in that sense. And as you mentioned, Nick, there certainly might be some difficulties for the NPP to enforce the system as well. But that being said, it's expected to be rather effective, at least among the Finnish banks, and that's quite a lot of money flow going through the Finnish banks. So if the Finnish banks are on board and the system is effectively imposed, against them, I guess it will more or less do the trick, though, that there might be some problems as well.
Yeah, that's really interesting to hear. And I think a lot of operators that are looking to apply for a license in Finland eventually have been keeping a really close eye on these developments, because they want to know kind of what they're allowed to do, what they're not allowed to do in the market in this kind of intervening period. But what I find really interesting about Finland and this potential re-regulation is that discussion was almost kick-started by the current monopoly operator. Do you want to sort of explain to those who might not be aware how that came about and what Vikehouse's position is, and even how that compares, incredibly differently to Norway?
Sure. Do you have 2 minutes or 20 minutes?
You carry on. This is great stuff.
I'll be as brief as possible. I always love to go to directly to the bottom lines. But everything was on the numbers. Veikkaus has been really struggling. They've cross gaming revenue has fallen from 1.8 billion to less than 1.1 billion since 2017. And obviously, they've been losing a lot of market share as well. And last autumn, the Veikkaus CEO stated in the interim report that unless the current trend of declining market share can be halted, Finland should consider other options too. So basically, he was saying that Finland should look for re-regulation and introducing a partial licensing system. So the background, it's all in the numbers. And since Veikkaus started to advocate the change, the politicians were on board really fast. Veikkaus has really, it's not a normal state-owned company in Finland. They have a lot of influence, a lot more influence than any other company has in Finland in that sense. So anyway, political consensus was reached quite easily and rather rapidly, to be honest. I was expecting that to happen, after the Veikkaus statements, but still I was, amazed of the speed, how fast the politicians were on board. But anyway, the process continued. After that, do you want me to continue? I basically provided answer for your questions, but I sure can go on with the next steps as well.
Yeah, no, please do. I mean, the part that I'm interested in is obviously they're kind of, by doing that, they're inviting quite a lot of competition, right, from potential operators that are going to be licensed, but presumably they think they're still going to be better off as a result of that system. Yeah,
well, basically, as I mentioned, everything is on the numbers, but the thing is that the Finnish gambling regulation was recently renewed, and even previously, there were quite a few responsible gambling features which only applied to Veikkaus. So, as Veikkaus executive vice president have stated several times, Veikkaus was basically, on a boxing match with the other competitors with one hand behind their back. So, and I guess that's a rather good way to put it, to be honest. So Veikkaus basically believes that if and when digital casino games and sports betting, which is the area in which they struggle the most, if those will be regulated, they will benefit from the fact that the responsible gambling features and all the rest are apply for their competition as well. And that's a bigger benefit for them compared to the other side of the coin, which is obviously that it will become legal for foreign operators or the license holders to advertise in Finland. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's great. That's answered my question. So they want all of the companies to have to adhere to the same restrictions, basically, and they're probably confident that they've got the brand to have a pretty decent position, even if it does become more competitive. We'll go back to obviously enforcement in a second and the streamer story that we discussed, but just a quick look at Norway, which is obviously one of the few other European countries with a monopoly model. That was back in the news again this week with this really long-running dispute with Kindred Group, which is seemingly never-ending. And I know you had some thoughts about their model, and when you say it's all in the numbers, what you're referring to is channelization as well, I suppose. Do you have anything to add on that side of the debate?
I'm not maybe the foremost expert of the Norwegian market. What I've been paying attention lately is the there was recently study according which the gambling problem rate has halted in Norway or something. That they've really achieved some great results. And in that regard, that study has been cited in Finland as well. Was it yesterday? The Ministry of Social and Health Affairs, they basically praised the Norwegian model and the results that Norway has achieved. And I don't know, there's been definitely some misinterpretations regarding that study, in the sense that, it didn't examine how successful the Norwegian government has been on imposing measures to tackle the gambling problem rate. The study was only about, how many Norwegians feel they have a gambling problem. And there's a huge difference in between that. As far as I've understood, the main factors behind Norway's success, at least, two of them, they don't specifically concern gambling. First of all, Norway introduced in 2019 debt register, which has been really effective on preventing gambling harm as well. And also the anti-money laundering measures have been effective in that sense. And neither of those two things have basically anything to do with gambling. They are, more general actions in that sense. And I really believe that the Finnish authorities really should make an effort to examine whether those should be, whether there's something to learn regardless of the system we'll have. And now if I shall, that's definitely Finland has always been compared with Norway, at least inside Finland, when it comes to gambling legislation and so forth. But the people tend to forget that it's different country with different legislation and different, opportunities, for example, to protect the monopoly. Just to illustrate the things, we already discussed the PSP blocking scheme. Well, in Norway, they basically try to block all the deposits and withdrawals alike to all unauthorized gambling operators. I already explained how the system works in Finland, and it's let's put it that way, that it's much less effective. It doesn't work at all at the moment. So, and the reason for that, in Finland, there were initially plans to include the withdrawals as well and make the system more comprehensive. But there were really severe constitutional problems. So they basically, the legislator had to drop, the withdrawals from the final draft, as they really wanted to get the law in force. Otherwise, it would have been delayed for years, and perhaps it would have never entered into force. But in that sense, there's the decision makers always like to make analogy between Finland and Norway, but it's really important to understand that these are two different countries in that sense, and the situation is different. It's not possible to go in that depth on protecting the monopoly in Finland. Yeah, obviously there are different, other differences as well, but just to illustrate the situation.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I put you on the spot there a little bit with questions about Norway as well. But you shared some thoughts on those on LinkedIn earlier this week, and Antti is definitely worth a follow or a connection on LinkedIn, because he regularly puts his insights on there. Thank you for such a comprehensive overview as well. But there's one more story I'd like to discuss with you, and that is about the streamer. So this is the story of Finnish streamer and influencer Lauri Kangas, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And he's been handed a 50-day suspended prison term and a €51,000 penalty for promoting gambling websites outside of the Vikhouse monopoly. Sonia wrote this story for our website today, and again, if you scan the QR code, you'll be able to read along as we discuss. But basically, this streamer's social accounts showed that he promoted operators such as Leo Vegas, I think Kindred Group, and routes, which kind of goes to show that the Betsson is not the only company to kind of try and offer gambling in Finland. So Ante, I guess you've been following this case fairly closely. What are your main takeaways, and is it an unusual one?
Yeah, I haven't been officially involved in the case, so I can freely talk about it. But I've been closely tracking it since it started in 2020. So it's it didn't happen by snapping one's finger either. It took some time. But basically, what happened, Mr. Kangas, or Latexi Tuppi, as his nickname is.
I didn't try and pronounce that one.
yeah, I guess it's a hard one. But anyway, he was rather he had some plus 60,000 followers or something. He was streaming on Twitch, YouTube, and he had lots of followers on Instagram. Then he had according to the court papers, he had a affiliate website as well. And basically, through all these channels, he was marketing foreign gambling operators in Finnish language to Finnish audience. And there's really nothing, from legal perspective, there's really nothing that unusual in the case. It was rather clear-cut case. He was advertising for foreign casinos illegally, and then he was first involved in the NPP's proceedings, and later on in the police investigation, and now subsequently he was sentenced for that 50 days suspended sentence, which on the practical in practice that means that if he doesn't commit other crimes before the end of 24, he will not go to the jail. But if he commits other crimes, whatever they shall be, the sentence will be changed, and he actually has to go to the jail. And when it comes to the penalty, it wasn't a penalty per se. He was confiscated 51,000 euros of criminal proceeds. So it wasn't a fine or penalty per se, but it was the criminal proceeds he was confiscated on. But as mentioned, factually the case, it was a clear-cut case. There was nothing that unusual, but at the same time, it serves as a good example that from illegal gambling advertising, there's a criminal liability that comes within. And, when the shit hits the fence, you might even, in the worst case scenario, you might even go to the jail or lose a considerable amount of money. So, yeah.
Not without its risks, it's fair to say. But Nico, obviously you've been, listening to this. Awesome insight. Have any questions kind of come into your mind as you've been listening?
Sure. So I'm more like a numbers guy, and you just dropped two quite interesting numbers comparing 2017 and the latest numbers of the overall revenue. So by 2017, you spoke about 1.7 billion.
1.8.
Or 1.8, and the latest number you dropped is 1.2. So it's a decrease.
1.1.
Or 1.1. It's even worse. So roughly a decrease of 40%. Yes. While all the other markets, compare Germany, UK, 2017. The last numbers from 2022 or 2021.
2022.
Okay, so 2022. So we're comparing a time span of roughly 5 full years, where other comparable jurisdictions increase. They always increase like 40-50% in the overall revenue. So is there a story behind this where this obviously or obvious revenues actually went to?
Well, Finns play more abroad, so the market share that's going offshore has been drastically increasing, and the increasing rate has been that rapid that even Veikkaus, draw that conclusion as previously discussed. This situation just can't continue anymore. And obviously, when it comes to the overall market share, it decreased a bit it decreased notably during the COVID pandemic. but it has already started to increase a bit towards the starting point of 2017, or or actually 2019. But anyway, so basically there's two reasons behind the numbers. Veikkaus has lost a lot of market share. The market share of the foreign operators has increased notably. It's I can't recall the numbers by heart, but it has been roughly doubled since 2017, or on that area anyway. And the overall market share has decreased somewhat as well. So those two things are behind the decrease of 40% of the Veikkaus cross gaming revenue.
Yeah, good question, Nico. We'll have to get you a podcast of your own, I think, with questions like that.
No, I love numbers. I mean, I'm fully a numbers guy. As discussed previously, I used to be a professional sports bettor, and I'm all about numbers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good thing.
well.
That's a good thing. And just to get some insights on the PSP and PSP blocking. So payment solution provider. It's literally you just use your credit card to top up your account and withdraw to that credit card as well. And why usually things don't work, because as soon as it comes to bypassing the official regulation. Because in the online world, you can't distinguish whether someone from Finland, a Finnish, is actually buying like flowers from a shop in Italy, because gambling companies or black market operations, not Italy, just put it like any other country than Finland, right? So it's a flowers shop, or a shop for shoes or whatever, because then the actual payment is rerouted through this specific shop, and then you can top up your account. So as soon as it comes to payment blocking, even IP blocking didn't work in Germany as well, because guess what? You're just rerouting the traffic to another IP address. You can deal with the DNS blocking, where as soon as you type in the name in your address list, doesn't work. Due to if you start blocking DNS, you can't control it. But as soon as it comes to payment solution, there's only one, from my experience, there's only one actual version which works: Brazil, with their Pix payment solution, because Pix is just used by 95% of all Brazilians. So pretty simple. As long as you can't offer Pix, you have no significant, or you can't enter the market, because you can't actually process payments, which is offered by the Banco do Brasil, so the national bank in Brazil. And this is the only way to actually deal with follow the money and payment solution providers blocking. Anything else just doesn't work in the actual world of global payments, global payment industry, etc. You just reroute the payments through a different country, through a different shop, whatever. So I'm quite curious if anyone from Europe, or a country ranking in the GDP world within the top 20 will come up with the same solution like the Banco do Brasil. As said, from my experience, the only way to handle it.
Yeah, well, as I mentioned, the Finnish PSP blocking system, it's a bit different than the Brazilian model. And
yeah. Well, thank you so much. I've learned an awful lot from you today, Ante, and I think for people that have enjoyed this stream, you're going to be speaking at our Valletta event in a couple of weeks' time as well. So if you've enjoyed this, make sure to buy a ticket. But between now and then, where can our viewers find you and your stuff if they want to follow along?
I guess LinkedIn is always a good starting point, though. My Finnish name might be a bit hard to pronunciate for Antti Koivula. But
perfect. Well, thank you again so much for joining us today. We're going to let you get off now as me and Nico bring the stream to a close, really. But awesome. I've learned a great deal, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Antti.
Bye.
Wow, there we go, Nico. That was
There we go.
That was a
There we
deep
go.
dive.
That was quite a significant deep dive.
Yeah.
But that was interesting, and I'm pretty sure he's totally happy for you putting him on the hot seat for the Norway, so your Norway investigation. But he managed to answer the question properly, so shout out to him once again.
Yeah, I mean, he answered every question in exceptional detail, which is what we want to bring you. We want to bring value to our users and to our audience, and that's how we've done it today. And Nico, you're going to be appearing at Valletta as well. Are you looking forward to that? What can people get excited about seeing you at the show?
So, first of all, and this is what happened during each and every other event as well. So usually people approach me like, you're Nico, you're the voice which I always listen to.
Autograph
So
hunting.
it is the same for Jake and Connor as well. We are approachable persons, so just start the conversation off, and we're eager to just share some information and just to dive into more details. So this is what usually happens, and then we're gonna have a quiz as well. Shout out to each and everybody. Will be fun. As I will be in a team with a Liga from Riga, which is always a good person to be around with. So this will be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that is going to be fun. I'll be tuning into that for sure. I'm really looking forward to that one. Now, we were going to discuss the Dutch market, but I think we're a bit short on time now. And in my opinion, that deserves kind of a deep dive of its own, to be fair. And I think we should try and get a special guest on. I know you're working hard behind the scenes, Nico, to get us a special guest for discussing the Dutch market. So I think we should leave that one till next week, if that's okay with you.
No, that's just perfect. As you already mentioned, there's a lot of stuff going on in the Netherlands, and if we just have 13 minutes of time, it's just a little bit too little to actually zoom in into the expertise of our potential guests. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people will actually enjoy what our guest will have to say about this one as well. So if we can skip this one to next week, this will be highly appreciated.
Exactly, and there's been a lot of information to digest today already. So I think we'll call it there for today's broadcast. Nico, what are you? Have you got any exciting plans for the weekend?
No. So first of all, today is a bank holiday in Germany. But whenever you ring the bell, I'm always eager to hop on your stream as well, and to it's always fun to actually communicate with the audience as well. Obviously, for today we have some issues with the LinkedIn, where usually all the comments just fly in. To this evening, I will just enjoy a rap concert from someone from Berlin. And guess what? I had no clue about the guy at all. So that's always a good start. So I just started listening to some music from him. Not my type of music, but I'm pretty sure it will be fun.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. Well done for going, even though you're not familiar with it. And thanks for joining us and even working on your day off, Nico. You're a true professional. And it is a real shame that the chat's not been working today. It's not the same without our viewers, but hopefully you've enjoyed the stream and found it interesting nonetheless. Just before we go, I want to say another quick thank you to Playson and to Interactive and to Bombay Live as well for sponsoring us. We'll leave it there. Otherwise, have a great weekend, and we'll be back at the same time next week. Thanks for joining me, Nico.
Thank you as well. Bye.
Gaming Festival Week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. The iGaming Festival Week.